Hi and welcome to day 3 of my 2016 Christmas series. Thanks for joining me today. I'm starting off here with an A6 sized card panel that I've cut down just ever so slightly smaller than A6 in size, and I'm just using my T-square ruler to draw some straight lines horizontally and vertically to create 3 windows, sort of towards the bottom but centered up on my card. So if you have a window die, I know there's a lot of popular window dies that will cut 3 shapes. If you have one of those, you could definitely use that to create a mask. But essentially I'm just making my own using some post-it tape. So I didn't want the edges of each of these windows to have straight lines across the edge. So I've cut, as you can see, my post-it tape to have sort of a slightly wobbly edge, and I've just worked my way around to create those windows. So I'm now going to create some masks for my stamping, and I'm using this Milk and Cookies stamp set from Lawn Fawn, and as usual I will have links to everything I'm using today in the description below, as well as over on my blog. So what I used for the die cutting there was the full-size sticky post-it notes, and these are a really inexpensive alternative to. The colours for today's card are inspired by these enamel dots that I've got here from Create a Smile Stamps, and I tried to match that up, and I used Simon Says Stamp Mint Candy, Altenew Mango Smoothie and Simon Says Stamp Coral Reef. So I have these little marshmallowy type ink blending tools, and I saw that somebody had recommended these on Instagram and I thought I'd give them a try, and they are a little bit more firm than the mini ink blending tools. So I did find that trying to get ink into small spaces, small corners, was a little bit more tricky, but overall I'm really happy with how these worked. So I'm applying the ink to the top and just dabbing off onto some scratch paper, and then bringing in the colour from the edges. So I'm using them in the exact same way that I would with any other ink blending tool, whether that's sort of an ink dauber or a Tim Holtz mini distress tool. And yeah, I think they're really cute. To be honest, I think I'm attracted to how they look, probably more so than the functionality. I just think they're really cute, so I'm happy that I picked these up, and I think that I'll keep them to use with my dye inks and my pigment inks, and then save my mini ink blending tools for my distress inks. So I'm going ahead and inking over these sections. I was quite heavy-handed with the ink, so you'll see when I peel back the post-it masking a little bit later on, I did get some ink in some places that I didn't want to, because it soaked through the post-it tape, and that is something to keep in mind if you're using post-it tape, or I guess any kind of masking. Just be careful that you don't oversaturate that with ink, but I did find a way to fix that, and I'll share that with you. So I'm just finishing up with the Mango Smoothie colour, and then I've peeled off all of the masking paper, and you can see there where the ink has bled through a little bit, and I'm just taking my sand eraser to rub that away, and this works brilliantly. Anything that's left behind could be covered up with a white gel pen, and I'm just using my tweezers to peel off the rest of those masks. So I'm going to be stamping in those white sections that are left behind, and I'm just taking each of my stamps and just stamping it off a couple of times to make sure the stamp's well and truly prepped, as after all of that work I don't want to stamp down the image and have it miss a spot and have to try and fix that. So once I've got all 3 of those stamped, I'm going to go ahead and add my sentiment. The ink that I'm using for all of the sentiments, for the outside sentiment, the inside sentiment, and for the milk, the glass, and the cookies, is the Simon Says Stamp Smoke ink, and the sentiment is from the Clearly Besotted Brushed Greetings set. So I'm just taking my plain white card base here and folding along that line with my Teflon bone folder. I'm going to round all of the corners using my corner chomper. I think this adds to sort of the retro feel of the card, so I'm going to do that on both the card base and also the card panel that I'm going to be adding onto the top. So to give this just a little bit more dimension, I'm adding some ATG tape to the back of some foam, and this is just some white scraps of foam. You could of course use foam tape, but I think the foam gives nicer coverage on a large piece like this to make sure that none of the sections sort of dip down. So I'm lining that up on top of my card base and pressing that down, and then I'll go ahead and stamp the inside greeting. So again, the inside greeting's from that same stamp set from Clearly Besotted, and I'm just stamping that down again in the smoke ink. And then I decided to add one of the little cookies on the inside as well. Now that that's finished, I'm going to bring over the envelope and again just add one of the little cookies to the back of the envelope and then the cookie jar to the front. So you could leave the card here, but I decided since my colour palette was inspired by this set of enamel accents, I decided to just add a couple of those onto the card. So I'm using my craft knife to help me out here. This is what I usually refer to as sort of my messy craft knife. I use it for slightly messier jobs, so you can see there that the blade is a little bit dirty. I do have a nicer, cleaner craft knife that I use for cutting. To be honest, really, I should just replace the blade on this one and get it over and done with. I'm not entirely sure where my replacement blades are at this exact moment. So that's why I haven't got around to doing that yet. So I'm just adding a large and a small in each of the colours, and then that is today's card finished. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, please do let me know by hitting like or leaving me a comment in the comments section below. On screen right now you can see two of the videos that I think you might enjoy, and also if you click on my logo you can subscribe to my channel so you never miss anything from me. That's everything for now, and I'll see you again soon.